All right, this is part 2 of the video on graphing exponential functions. So what we've done is we've done the first example already together, and now we're going to try the second one. So I am just going to zoom in a little bit here. So we have y equals negative 1/4 to the power of x minus 5 plus 3. So the very first thing that you always want to do is you want to find the base. And you can find the base because it's the one that the exponent is attached to. So there's the exponent, which means that the 1/4 is my base. So I'm just going to write here that the base is 1/4 to the power of x. That's going to come in handy in a minute. All right, the next thing we do is we try to list all of our transformations. So I see that I have a plus 3, a minus 5. The 1/4 is not a transformation, it's the base. And I have this little negative hiding out in front. So the plus 3 at the end is going to take our graph and move it up 3. That minus 5 inside the bracket is going to take our graph and move it right 5. And then that negative in front indicates that this is a reflection, so the graph is going to be upside down. Now, we could wait until we've done the graph, but I think that we could do the asymptote with just the equation. So the asymptote is always that number, the k value at the very end. So our asymptote is going to be at y equals positive 3. To figure out if it's increasing or decreasing, first you look at the base. This is a fraction, so it's going to be decreasing. And then if it's a reflection, which it is, it switches. So the base is decreasing. We've got a reflection, so this is going to be increasing. All right, to find the y-intercept, we sub in x equals 0, and we can calculate. So I think I'm going to find a little bit of space up here, and we're going to calculate that. So I have y equals negative, and then I have 1/4 to the power of 0 minus 5 plus 3. So 0 take away 5 is negative 5. A negative exponent makes a fraction. This is already a fraction. A negative exponent has a flipping over action. So what it's going to do is take that 1/4 and flip it over to make it a 4/1, or a positive 4 to the power of 5. That negative sign out front is just the same one that we had there. 4 to the power of 5, I don't know that one off the top of my head. You could use your power sheet or you can use your calculator. 4 to the power of 5 is 1024. So I have that negative sign in front. That really is a negative 1. So negative 1 times 1024 is negative 1024. Plus 3 would be negative 1021. So our intercept is going to be negative 1021. Now, domain and range, I'd like to wait on. Okay, domain is usually just between negative infinity and positive infinity, and we could potentially figure out the range. You know what? I just noticed I missed a bracket on this one. But I think we'll wait until we've done the graph. So to do the graph, what we want to do is start by making a table of values for our base function. So the base function is 1/4. So I'm going to make a table of values for y equals 1/4 to the power of x. So I like to pick the numbers between negative 4 and 4. And I like to start with the positive numbers at the bottom. So 1/4 to the power of 4. You do them separately. So 1 to the 4 is 1. 4 to the 4 is 256. 1/4 to the 3. 1 to the 3 is 1. 4 to the 3 is 64. 1/4 to the 2. 1 squared is 1, and 4 squared is 16. 1/4 to the 1 is just 1/4. Anything to the 0 is 1. And then the negative exponents make fractions. They have that flipping over action. So 1 over 4 to the negative 1 is the same as 1 over 4 to the positive 1, except it's going to be flipped over. So instead of 1 over 4, it's going to be 4 over 1, or just 4. Same thing with the negative 2. It's going to be the same, just flip over the 1 over 16 to get positive 16. For 3, we flip over the 1 over 64 to get 64. And for the negative 4, we flip this over to get 256. Okay, so the graph. What I'm going to do is make a table of values for what I actually want to graph. Okay, that table of values was just for my base. What I need to do now is make a table of values for the transformations. So the first thing I see is that my graph is going up 3. Going up 3 is going to move on the y-axis up 3. So to my y values, we're going to add 3. That minus 5 inside, the right 5, goes this way, 5, which changes the x values. So we do the opposite of what we saw in the bracket. So here it was a minus 5. So here to the x, we're going to add 5. And then the reflection is going to change the y values. So the reflection really is a vertical reflection. We just don't always write the vertical part in. So it's going to change our y values. What it's going to do is make all the positive numbers negative and all the negative numbers positive. And so the easiest way to do that is we just multiply by negative 1. So I'm going to take the x values from my table and add 5. So negative 4 plus 5 is 1. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2. Negative 2 plus 5 is 3. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4. I am definitely seeing a pattern here. But I always check the last one just to be sure. 4 plus 5 is 9, which is exactly what I was expecting. All right, to do the next part, I tend to use my calculator. I find that helps, makes it a little bit easier for me. Maybe we'll zoom out a little bit. So we're going to take our numbers, times them by negative 1, and then add 3. So 256 times negative 1 plus 3 is negative 253. And then we just keep going. So 64 times negative 1 plus 3 is negative 61. All right, 16 times negative 1 plus 3 is negative 13. 4 times negative 1 plus 3 is negative 1. 1 times negative 1 plus 3 is 2. All right, this is where the fun part happens. 1 divided by 4 times negative 1 plus 3 is 2.75. There's always going to be one of these that's gives me one end of the table that's going to be decimals. 1 divided by 16 times negative 1 plus 3 is 2.937, so 2.94. 1 divided by 64 times negative 1 plus 3 is 2.98. And then 1 divided by 256 times negative 1 plus 3 is 2.996. So that would round up to 3. I'm just going to write it as 2.996 for now. Okay. So what I want to do is take that table of values, plot the points, which I'm going to do very quickly. So we've already got our graph and our scale going from the first one. So I'm going to start with the 1 and negative 253. That's too big. Actually, it's too small, but it doesn't fit on my graph. Neither does negative 61, but 3 and negative 13 will. So 3 and negative 13. 4 and negative 1. 5 and 2. 6 and 2.75. That's going to be close to that 3 marker. And then 7 and 2.94, that's going to get really close to that 3. 2.98 is even closer, and 2.99 pretty much just going to look like it's on that 3 line. Draw in the one side, Draw on the other side. I know the asymptote is at 3. We figured that out in advance. So my graph should look a little something like that. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do at this point is to do the check your understanding page on your own. You want to make sure you finish that before class so that we can take it up when class starts tomorrow.